All right, so for this question, we again have a kind of intimidating geometry looking thing because they're telling us to worry about another complicated shape, a sphere. The formula for a sphere is given at the front of every single SAT math section, but we don't actually need it because it's given to us also in the question itself. That's rare, but great, I'm happy for it. Means I don't have to flip back. But if we think about what they're asking, the sphere thing is kind of just incidental to the question. It doesn't really matter. We're not concerned with geometry in any way. It's just kind of like the story that goes with the algebra that we really do care about. So it's helpful to think about this question as an algebra question, an algebra instruction here. Which of the following gives the radius of the sphere in terms of the volume of the sphere? That's just fancy math speak for solve for R. So another way to look at each of these answer choices is it's really just equal R, equals R, equals R, equals R. They're really just saying find R by itself. So the first thing we should do is get that formula out of the question and put it on our page. And our task is to move everything away from the R. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. The first thing I notice is I want to get rid of that fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal to cancel it out, right? Because if there's a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom, they cancel out. If there's a 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom, they cancel out. That's why the reciprocal is how we move fractions in most math situations. So that leaves me then with 3v over 4 is equal to pi r cubed. And notice I'm putting the v on the top because it's really v over 1. And we multiply fractions, we multiply the two tops together and then the two bottoms together. And so 3 times v is just 3v. I could have left it off to the side, but looking ahead to my answer choices, notice that v is with the 3. So I want to kind of match where I'm going. So always like kind of use the answer choices to guide you as you go. Next step, let's get rid of that pi, right? So we also want to divide by pi. I could have done this before, but now I'm going to do it as a separate step. There's no real reason. But remember, it's also kind of like multiplying by the reciprocal here. We're dividing by pi, so we're putting it on the bottom. So it's kind of the same as multiplying by 1 over pi. All that is just to say 3v over 4 pi is going to be the term. And again, use your answer choices to check as you go. Notice the 4 pi is there for all the 4 choices. So if I was having trouble with putting the pi somewhere, the answer choices should have told me where it goes. There's no variation. Maybe it's on the top, maybe it's on the bottom, but at least it's with the 4. I know that much. But it's on the bottom, and that brings us to our last step, which is to get rid of that exponent. So how do we get rid of a cube? We take the cube root, and we can do that to both sides. And there's no simplifying involved with that, right? This is just an answer. 3v over 4 pi, that's choice D, right? So this is the answer. There's no way to get rid of that cube root in an easy way, so it just kind of stays as a cube root. And it's a messy answer, but it doesn't matter. As long as we follow the rules of algebra, it shouldn't matter that it's messy. It shouldn't scare us. We've gotten down to the answer. And notice I never drew a sphere. I never did any of that because this was really just an algebra question in disguise, more of a models question where the story just happened to be kind of like a geometry question. But it's much more about algebra. So don't get intimidated just because you see something that might have scared you if you had seen it in school. You might be able to do it. It might be asking something totally different than what your first impression is.